All right, so Ally, I always feel when we do these video episodes, I feel bad that there's no music, that people don't get to hear the music. So I'm going to try to play the music live. Do you think you can sing along?
I can try to sing along.
Okay.
I make no promises.
And then you have to remember to start the episode.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning into House Things.
Once the music is done.
Okay, yep. Let's see if I can do it. There it is. Ba, 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 ba.
Howe's Things, the podcast and radio show from the David A. Howe Public Library, recorded right here in Wellsville, New York. I'm Ally Stevens.
And I'm Nick Gunning, and there's no quiet way to put down a ukulele, I'm learning.
I also almost forgot who I was there for a
Yeah,
second.
you paused.
There was like a little pause, and I was like, who am I?
Yeah, this is what happens when I don't write out a script. Ally, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, yeah.
What's new?
Well, is this a leading
Do you like
question?
when I throw unexpected questions? No, I'm just curious. What's going on in your life?
Oh, you know, not much.
Okay.
Just, saw
the
new Doctor Strange movie.
I did too, yeah.
And what a coincidence.
I know. So we are going to be talking about Doctor Strange a little later in the episode, but we've committed to, in this episode here that you're listening to or watching on YouTube, we're not going to spoil Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But after we finish this, we are going to do a spoiler-filled conversation about that movie.
It's going to be as much spoilers as possible.
It's going to be more spoilers than not spoilers, I feel like.
I think that's definitely true.
But again, you're safe here. We're going to talk a little bit about the comic book history of Doctor Strange, our own experiences reading and or watching Doctor Strange, and many other things. But before we do that, let's open up our books and see where our bookmarks are at. I don't know the bookmark theme. Bookmark. Okay, good, but I don't know it on the ukulele, so that's okay. I appreciate it.
Sometimes acapella works.
I appreciate you trying. Ally, what have you been reading? Not Doctor Strange. You got to save that for later. But other things.
Doctor Strange
other
for later.
things, yeah.
Let's see. What else have I been reading? I just finished Who the F Are You by Huda Fahmy. I know, it's fantastic, right? And the fact that her name is Huda Fahmy, like, it's such a great opportunity, and she went for it.
I'm glad she did. Yeah.
So, what this is it's a graphic novel about the experiences of this woman, this Muslim woman, particularly her high school kind of time and like figuring out who she is and those kinds of things. And we did our webcomic episode a little while ago. I don't remember if we talked about Huda Fahmy at all.
No, I don't think we did.
Okay. But she, on Instagram, posts a lot of comics. And so if you've ever seen Yes, I'm Hot in This on Instagram, which is about her hijab. Yes, she's hot in it.
Okay.
That's the same author. And so, it was just a lot of fun.
That sounds cool.
I enjoyed it. It was a real quick read.
Okay. Anything else you got coming up?
Let's see. What have I got coming up? I've been making my way through the Louise Penny books.
Oh, still?
I'm waiting for one.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
Nice. All right.
It's like the agony where I wait like 4 weeks.
So you're still on board. The rapid fire absorption of Louise Penny's work is not.
Great. I'd say it's just getting better and better.
That's good. Good to hear. I still am a little bit on my book drought, but I did read a few things. I read Cool for the Summer by Delia Adler. You read this as well,
did,
right?
Yeah.
This is our YA for Adults book club that we're going to be doing during Pride Month. I listened to it as an audiobook and really enjoyed the reader and the performance, so that was a lot of fun. And again, the Grease references, just they hit me. They got me good.
I'm glad.
They got me good. When is that? June 4th? June 4th, 2022.
2nd?
June 2nd?
I'm pretty sure it's June 2nd.
It's a Tuesday, right?
I thought it was a Thursday.
Or I'll look at the library calendar. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's June 2nd.
Okay. All right. That sounds right.
So you can choose who you believe.
That's true. And I would lean towards Ally with this because, I think it might be you. Oh, I read a Star Trek book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I read a Star Trek book called Sanctuary. It was by John Vornholt, who's written a lot of Star Trek books and other things. This was a book where Kirk and Spock and McCoy are chasing this fugitive, and he gets onto this planet called Sanctuary, and then they learn that there's no way to get off. That's the whole point of it.
Oh.
Like, they're there and they're safe, and they have to just, live in this society for the rest of their lives. But guess what? They don't want to. So you decide whether you think Kirk, Spock, and McCoy live out the rest of their lives on that planet. I don't want to give any spoilers for the book Sanctuary by John Vornholt. I also read a graphic novel called Shazam and the Seven Magic Lands. This is by Jeff Johns with art by May Naito and others. How do you feel about Shazam?
I don't know a lot about Shazam.
Nothing. You don't know. Okay.
I'm like, ooh, Shazam.
Shazam.
That's about as far as...
Have you seen the Zach Levy movie?
I have not.
Okay. I don't like it. But I love Shazam. Like,
Okay.
Shazam is, like, from the olden days, there was a live-action show that I used to watch all the time. And I actually interviewed John Davey on the All the Book Show, who played Shazam in the latter half of the series.
Cool.
And so I'm an old-school Shazam fan. And Jeff Johns did a first Shazam reboot, and they hadn't really done much with him in a long time. And that Jeff Johns book, I think it's just called Shazam, they really heavily utilized for the Zach Levy movie, which I don't like. This is more Jeff Johns Shazam, and it just wasn't very good. It was more like it's Shazam in the Seven Magic Lands, and the Magic Lands I found very like little kid-like, which I know was the point, but I guess I just felt like I didn't really want to read Shazam and the Wizard of Oz, and that's what it felt like to me, so...
So if it had called itself, like, Shazam and Off-Brand Wizard of Oz...
Yeah, I probably would have steered clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I would have even touched it. But again, the initial Jeff Johns Shazam run is really cool. And I love the old stuff, like 70s, 80s stuff, and even earlier. Shazam, back in the golden era of comics, was a contemporary with, like, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman back in the day. And DC was like, wait a minute, you have a man with black hair who can fly. We shall sue you. And so then Shazam and the Shazam family were basically out of print for... 50 years until DC bought Fawcett Comics and brought them back. So Shazam has got a long, convoluted history, and that's not what people are here for today. So I'm going to stop talking to you about Shazam.
I'm just here for an excuse to say Shazam!
Shazam!
With a really loud voice as many times as possible.
I'm reading The Guncle by Stephen Rowley.
That's quite the title.
Yeah, it's pretty good. This is, so the Library Book Club is doing Cool for the Summer. The podcast spotlight for Pride Month is going to be on The Guncle by Stephen Rowley, and my old friend Bo Hutchings is going to be back. Always a good time. This reads very much like an updated version of Anti-Mame by Patrick Dennis, which is one of my favorite books, so I'm here for that. And they've even, like, made allusions to that book, like, you're just like Anti-Mame, so, like, I know it's on purpose. And I'm having a good time with that. And then the She-Hulk trailer dropped. Did you watch it?
I did.
How do you have any feelings about She-Hulk?
I don't have much background context about She-Hulk.
Yes.
But I watched the trailer and I was like,
you're ready for it?
Cool. Okay. Let's go.
All right. Well, I don't think I've ever, like, I've read She-Hulk in a lot of things, but I've never, like, sat down and read, like, a run of She-Hulk. So I thought before the show I might give it a shot. So I picked up this one by John Byrne, which is sort of the iconic She-Hulk series. It ran for 60 issues in the I want to say late 80s, early 90s, because I remember getting these, like, in a comic book store. I have a few of these still. And at the time, it was the longest running, like, female-led Marvel series ever at 60 issues. I don't know that it's been surpassed. I would assume probably. The world's so great when it comes to female representation, right? So probably...
We'll talk about this more later.
Probably no issues there at all. But yeah, so I'm reading some She-Hulk.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, are you watching anything cool?
So...
I mean, cool for you. Your version of cool.
Understandable. I did just binge watch and binge read the entire Heartstopper series, both the books and the, like...
Okay,
Netflix
yeah.
Yeah. And because I was like, oh, I'll pick up this book. I've seen a lot of people checking it out and, like, just heard a lot of excitement. I'll see what it's about. And it's a graphic novel, so it reads really quick. And it's also just, like, really sweet. And I was like, oh, this is fun. We're just going to read the entire series in one weekend. And then I was like, oh, look, there's a Netflix show. We're just going to watch the entire season in, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Wow. Okay.
Mind you, there's only, like, 8 or so episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
But even so.
8 is, like, the perfect number. We're watching through the Foundation series over on Apple, and it's like 10 episodes. Something about that, I'm just like, I could do 8, but man, 10? I got 5 more to go?
I feel like it depends a little bit how long the episodes are.
True,
If we're
and they're
talking
long.
45-minute episodes, I feel like 8 works.
Yeah.
But if we're talking, like, 25-minute episodes, which a number of things are, I feel like, now, more like 25, 30-ish minutes.
Attention spans.
I feel like 8
going down.
8 might be a little too few. It depends.
I could, for a sitcom-y kind of thing, I could probably do a little more than that. But a lot of times, like, these prestige dramas are, like, 55 minutes each, like no commercials, just a straight, like, almost a full hour. And sometimes I do get a little impatient with that. I just started another one on Apple called For All Mankind. And the premise is what caught my attention. It's, what if Russia beat the U.S. in the space race?
Oh.
And the U.S. was sort of like, darn it, and always sort of like behind, and it's just, I'm not too far into the series yet, but it's like dealing with the fallout of the morale loss. You know what I mean? Like JFK made his big like we're going to the moon, and then like Russia beats them, and then everybody's kind of like, well, darn, are we not great like we thought we were? Yeah, it's cool. I want to say the 3rd season is coming out now, so not a super long running show, but I'm liking it so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I have been on pins and needles for years now, waiting for Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which is a spin-off of Star Trek Discovery. How are you in your Star Trek lore, Ally? Do you know?
I am not.
Yeah.
Into the deep Star Trek lore.
Okay.
Like, I'm not, like, I've seen some Star Trek. I like Star Trek. I come from a vaguely Star Trek family. But it's not like the, like, deep dive kind of Star Trek stuff. Okay. And I haven't really watched anything that they've released recently.
Okay, well, that's probably a good call, but you might like Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, the captain of the show is Christopher Pike, and way back in the 60s, the original Star Trek pilot is called The Cage, and it didn't have Kirk or William Shatner in it. It was Chris Pike was the captain, and it's a much more, like, heavy and serious kind of vibe, and the network was like, no, too much, scrap it, and they brought in Shatner and kind of lightened it up a little bit.
Makes sense.
I've always really liked the character of Pike in The Cage, the episode in particular. So in season 2 of Discovery, which is set before the original series, they brought in Pike, played by Anson Mount. More on Anson Mount later. He was playing Pike as sort of like a guest star and kind of became the captain of Discovery temporarily. And there wasn't originally plans to spin him off, but he was just so good. He was just so compelling. And people were just like, you have to make a Pike show. And they were like, okay, fine. But it's taken years for it to come out. So at this point, when this episode drops, there'll be 3 episodes so far. But just really strong, going back to a more episodic format. Mm-hmm. Classic, like 60s Star Trek is very much like, here is the event of the week. Whereas more modern Trek is like, this is one long, continuous, like soap opera kind of story. And Strange New Worlds is a throwback to the other one. So I would recommend it, and I think even if you're not a huge Star Trek fan, or if you're not up to date on like Discovery or Picard, you would probably be fine to jump in on Strange New Worlds, and I'm having a great time.
But the stakes are high, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, they're high. Okay. They're high. Yeah. Uncharted? Have you seen Uncharted?
I have seen Uncharted.
What did you think?
I saw it in theaters. See,
Tom Holland, Marky Mark?
I had a great time.
You did?
But I was like,
okay.
I know nothing about the game or any of the lore or anything. I'm just here to see Tom Holland do fancy things. Okay. Some crimes.
Fancy.
Yes. Like,
just
you know those like fancy, like, barista trick things he does?
Oh, like where he's a flair bartender.
Yes.
Like Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Okay.
I'm here for that and to see, like, pirate ships flying through the air.
Okay.
And it delivered on that. And so I was like, you know what?
You're right.
I can go home happy.
You see flying ships and you see Tom as a mixologist. So you got what you wanted. Well, I came to this as a fan of the games. There's 4 games plus a spin-off in the Uncharted series, PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4. And then there's also one on the PlayStation Vita, which is a handheld, called The Golden Abyss, which I'm currently playing. I love the series. I love the characters. I love the puzzle element of it. So I was excited to hear they were making an Uncharted movie. Not too thrilled with the Tom Holland casting, just because I don't think it gels with what I'm used to. So I was pretty bored with the Uncharted movie, and that's not what I wanted. So
this is where ignorance helps me.
I guess so.
I'm like, okay.
I was disappointed by it. There's a scene at the end where they come up on the beach, and there's like a man on a chair, and they explain what happened, and he's like, oh, something similar happened to me. That was Nolan North, who was the voice of the character of Nathan Drake in the show, which was cool. And I just learned that there's a novelization, and I love novelizations. It's by S.D. Perry, but the audiobook is read by Nolan North, the voice from the games.
That's cool.
I mean, obviously, I have to do that now.
You'll have to keep us updated.
Yeah. All right, is that it for your reading and watching list?
I feel like there are other things, but some of them we're going to talk about later.
Yes, correct. Okay.
Nothing else is coming, so I guess that's that.
Okay, well, let's roll into some book news then. Since right now, as we're recording, we're right in the midst of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I thought we might look at some books on that topic, and we're going to look over at Barnes & Noble here. This was put out April 28th of 2022 by the Barnes & Noble editors, and it's just some new and old things to read as we celebrate the contributions of Asian American and Pacific Islanders to the world of literature.
Before we start, I have to know,
is this a
competition to see who of us has read the most of these?
Well...
Because I know sometimes that's what we do.
It is.
But I just need to be prepared.
I have looked at the list and am confident that you would win that. So if you want an easy win, let's call it a competition.
Okay.
So let's look at a few nonfiction here. Number 1 on their list is Rise, a pop history of Asian America from the 90s to now. This is by Jeff Yang, Phil Yu, and Philip Wang. A magical tour through the past 3 decades and more of Asian American history and a culture, a journey of sweat, tears, sacrifice, inspiration, disappointment, innovation, and breaking through. Also in nonfiction, we have Eat a Peach, a memoir by David Chang and Gabe Ula. David Chang is much more than just a chef, and his memoir set in the food world is much more than the Momofuku restaurants of ugly, delicious TV travels he's known for. I don't know that show. Do you know?
I don't either, but I'm down to eat a peach. I like peaches.
Agreed. In the fiction world, The Family Chow. This is by Lan Samantha Chang, a reimagining of the brothers... Oh, I always say this... Thank you. The Family Chow successfully combines a propulsive literary mystery, a generational family drama, and the American immigrant story into one can't-put-it-down novel.
That does sound like quite a lot.
I love mysteries and generational family dramas. So
honestly, yeah. That's good stuff.
This sounds good to me. Let's see. We have Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. This captivating fantasy seamlessly weaves ancient Chinese mythology into a sweeping adventure of immortals and magic. I don't know. Ancient mythology stuff I don't usually gravitate towards. How do you feel?
I sometimes like mythology stuff. It depends.
Okay.
But the cover art is fantastic.
It is good cover art. Yeah, you're right. It is
Not
good.
to judge a book by its cover.
Yep.
But...
Yep. All right. Let's look at a few young adults here, Allie. So take it away.
All right. Up at the top, we've got American-born Chinese. I feel like I have to move closer. Maybe I'm going blind. Hold on.
Maybe you are. Okay.
When was the last time I went to the eye doctor? Okay, by Jean Luen Yang. As the winner of the 2007 Michael L. Prince Award and 2006... Wait. Okay, that's information about the book.
Okay.
This book This modern tale.
There we go.
This modern fable seamlessly tells the story of Jim Wang, the only Chinese-American student at his new school, the Great Monkey King, and Chin Qi, a cringe-worthy personification of the negative Chinese stereotype.
Very good. This, anything I've read by him, I've loved. He's written tons of great Superman stories like Final Days of Superman, Superman Truth, or Superman Smashes the Klan, but also Dragon Hoops and American-Born Chinese. I'm a fan of all his stuff. Have you read this one?
I have not read this one.
Ooh, so if we stop now, I'm winning.
That's true.
So that's good. Okay, what of these other ones do you want to pick?
Okay, well, let's do A Show for Two by Tashi Boo.
Okay,
swoony and binge-worthy. A Show for Two is a YA romance that will have you crinkling your nose and smiling like a dork the entire time. Or your money back.
Yeah.
It doesn't
really?
say that.
Oh.
No. With a celebrity attending high school under a secret identity and an aspiring screenwriter luring him into her film competition. Luring, mind you.
Yeah.
This must-read is sure to be your new favorite romance.
Do you think? Will it be your new favorite romance?
I don't know. I read Tashi's first book, which is Counting Down With You. And it was a pretty good time.
Not your favorite romance.
But fun fact,
okay.
This book is based on the time Tom Holland was undercover at her school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tom Holland of Uncharted fame.
Tom Holland of Uncharted fame.
I hear he mixes a mean drink in that movie.
All right, we've got Last Night at the Telecraft Club by Melinda Lowe. Have you read this?
No, but it was up for so many awards. I've read about it many a times.
I have read this one. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Set in 1954, San Francisco, Last Night at the Telegraph Club is a must-read coming-of-age story about a Chinese-American teenager learning to understand herself, her sexuality, and her culture during a time and place where she is seen as less than.
Okay.
Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. I did just read this one.
Okay.
By Adiba Jagardar.
Okay.
I'm going to tentatively say that's how it's pronounced.
Yep.
The fake dating storyline is nothing new, but this sapphic spin feels fresh and joyful. Alternating points of view between Hani and Ishu will draw readers in and have them rooting for the couple until the very end.
Okay.
How do you feel about fake dating?
Fake dating?
Fake dating as a trope in stories.
I mean, it only ever goes one place.
Oh, that's definitely
you really have to buy into like the chemistry in the situation because there are no surprises ahead. So,
I generally like a fake dating story.
I do. I think of like The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock.
I haven't actually seen that one.
Oh, stop everything and go watch that. It's so funny.
All right, I guess I'm leaving work early today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I said it, and it's on film, so,
Yep.
We still use film, right? This is film? Okay.
Definitely.
All right. I'm going to pull a one young reader here because I've read it, and I want to at least tie. When You Trap a Tiger, winner of the 2021 Newbery Medal. We did this for a system-wide book club, and it was just a good conversation. When Lily's family moves to Washington to be with her ailing grandmother, or Halmoni, the last thing she expects is to encounter a magical tiger she's heard about in Halmoni's Korean folk tales. She soon learns that the tiger is the key to uncovering Halmoni's past and possibly saving her life.
Ooh.
You like it? You were really reacting strongly.
It sounds cool. I'm here for magical tigers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I read Aru Shah.
Okay.
That we went past.
Do you want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Aru Shah and the End of Time. Perfect for fans of Rick Riordan. Aru Shah and the End of Time follows 12-year-old Aru, who tends to stretch the truth. When three classmates try to catch her in a lie, she lights a lamp that releases an ancient demon whose job it is to awaken the god of destruction. And things go about how you would expect.
Okay.
This is one of those, like, Rick Riordan Presents books.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in that feel.
It definitely has that vibe. I mean, you can see, if you look at the cover, it's got even the little, like, Rick Riordan seal of approval on it.
Exactly.
But it looks like that right away. Are you a Rick Riordan fan?
I'm a Rick Riordan fan.
Have you read his stuff?
I should amend this a little bit.
Ooh.
I read the Percy Jackson series.
Oh, the whole series, though.
The whole series.
Okay.
I read about half of the sequel series, the Heroes of Olympus, and then I was like, meh. And I just stopped.
Is there a Norse one, too, or am I making that up?
There is. It's Magnus Chase.
There it is.
That I have not read either.
Okay.
And I also didn't read the Egyptian one, because Egyptian mythology freaks me out.
Freaks
but
you
I love
out?
Moon Knight. The show was great.
Oh, okay.
So.
Huh. Interesting. Well, why did you stop? You just lost interest?
Well, I got to the end of The Mark of Athena.
Okay.
Which I will say is a literal cliffhanger.
Okay.
Minimal spoilers, but it is a literal cliffhanger.
I get it.
And I was like, okay, it's a whole nother year until the House of Hades comes out because we just like to torture ourselves as fans.
Yep.
And then by the time it came out, I was like, the charm had worn off. And I was like, I don't feel like Uncle Rick is holding it together. The Mark of Athena has like 7 characters traveling around all the time.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is just like ping, 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 ping. You use like 7 characters.
Yeah,
How are you going to do a conversation between 7 characters for an entire book?
Yeah.
So, and then I just never got around to finishing it.
Okay, that's fair. I don't think I saw the the first Percy Jackson movie I have seen.
Oh, yikes.
And that's the only Rick Riordan thing. I think maybe I've read a Rick Riordan Presents.
Okay.
But that's it. So I don't know.
The movie is not a great representation.
I remember it being kind of bad. I remember it sort of like just wishing so hard that it was Harry Potter, and it's not.
That's fair.
But
like, yeah.
But that's not Rick Riordan's fault.
Things.
That's so.
I think they're making a show.
I've heard that.
Kind of redoing it because everyone was like, why is the movie so terrible?
Yeah, I don't want to watch it, but I've heard that too.
Watch it.
Well, the whole list here you can find at barnesandnoble.com, and we'll share it out on the social medias, All the Book Show on Twitter, David A. Howe Public Library on Facebook. Hey, and while we're talking about things, go and rate and review us and share us with your friends. Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking through the list, Allie, to see if there was one more we could talk about so that we could at least tie, but I haven't read any more of these on the list. So you squeaked out a victory, but it was very close. It was very close. Shall we get to our topic at hand?
Let's do it.
Doctor Strange. As I recall, comic book and comic book lore wasn't a huge part of your growing up, your background.
That is correct.
Nobody in your family comic book fan?
My dad read comics at some point and would sometimes talk about it.
But he left
has
it
some
behind.
issues, random things.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
no shame to Dad.
So I guess no, you shamed him. You publicly shamed him, and we all heard it. So is the MCU sort of like the thing where you're like, oh, comic books, and made you kind of put it more in your consciousness, in your mind?
I think that was where it started. I watched the Avengers when I was 12 with my friends, and that was when we were like, we need to have a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
Not that I'm salty that it took so long.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Oh,
and I was like, this is cool. And so I started following the MCU, and then eventually I was like, yeah, comics are a thing.
Yeah.
We should try that. And I think the first comic books that I read, I think were those Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, comics. I assume I've been reading those too because we're doing a book club. We've started this Discord book club. We had our first one where we talked about Batman, primarily Batman Year One, but Batman in general. The next one that we're doing in June of 2022 is going to be on Doctor Strange, the Jason Aaron run and beyond. So But we're also going to be doing a Ms. Marvel one, so I've been reading those for the first time.
I saw you gave one of them a less than many stars.
I didn't really like the second chunk of issues, but I think I know. I'm sorry. Save it for that conversation. But I will say that I think, like, having read webcomics with you already, I could see a lot of similarities in the vibe there. It has kind of a webcomic feel to it, which I think is smart and probably why it hit as hard as it did. One of the reasons why, you know.
That makes sense.
But we're not talking about Ms. Marvel today. We're talking about Doctor Strange. So let's get into the history here of Doctor Strange a little bit. Doctor Strange goes back to 1963. So JFK could have read a Doctor Strange comic.
Oh my goodness.
You don't know. I like to think he did. Doctor Strange was created by Steve Ditko with Stan Lee and first appeared in Strange Tales number 110, July 1963. If your dad has that one, it'd probably be worth some money.
I doubt it.
Check the trunks.
I don't think he collects Doctor Strange. I'll check.
Check the trunks. So according to Ditko, who also co-created Spider-Man and Squirrel Girl for Marvel, as well as I know you do, and The Question for DC, he brought a 5-page illustrated script for Doctor Strange to Stan Lee. It was kind of like, here's what I want to do, here's where I want to go, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And really, his reasoning behind that was, let's mix it up. Like we have all these like superheroes that are superheroes. Let's like get magic-y, you know. And for a long time, Doctor Strange was really the one like Marvel magic character. I mean, Scarlet Witch is not too far behind this, but her powers over the years sort of fluctuated between like she's a mutant, she's not a mutant, she's magic, she's a mutant, whatever. You know, but Doctor Strange has been consistently like a mystical, magical character. So it was kind of a at least it would shake things up to have Doctor Strange just come on there. So he appeared in Strange Tales number 110. And the series would be renamed Doctor Strange with issue 169 and would continue on. Then he'd take over the Marvel premiere book, get a second series after that, and then just sort of remain, I don't know if I would say top tier, but certainly one of the more well-known Marvel characters that's out there. Like most people who are familiar with Marvel could at least recognize Doctor Strange as a character. You know what I mean? Not so much for somebody like a Amphibian, you know. The average person wouldn't know.
I don't think I know who Amphibian is.
Let's see. His first animated appearance was on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in an episode called Seven Little Heroes, which was in 1981.
Wow.
I love Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. More on that in a minute, because I've got plenty to say. His first video game appearance was in Quest Probe, featuring the Incredible Hulk for Commodore 64 in 1984. I had a Commodore 64. And I played games like this. This is one of those like text adventures.
Okay.
Where you see an image and it's like, go west, go through the door, open that box. And it would be like, I will, or I can't, or I don't understand the question. I didn't have this one, but I had the Spider-Man one. And a lot of good times were had with me narratively typing things for Spider-Man to do. First live-action appearance is in the 1978 film starring Peter Hooton, just called Doctor Strange. This was sort of on the heels of the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno Hulk show, which Thor eventually showed up in those movies. They were kind of trying to get a Marvel like TV movie thing happening. There was also Nicholas Hammond and Spider-Man and some Red Brown Captain America films. So this was a time where they were trying to be like, hey, maybe there's money to be had in putting these characters on the screen. I don't think that this movie is remembered particularly well, but it is coming out on Blu-ray now with the new attention on Doctor Strange.
I didn't know about it, so...
Well,
for whatever that tells you.
You can rectify it now.
But I also didn't know who. Some
Amphibian?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a deep cut. That was a purposely deep cut. His MCU debut was in the 2016 film Doctor Strange, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. And I had to look that up because I couldn't remember if we got a hint of Doctor Strange in something else, but I don't think so.
It was just kind of out of the blue?
Yeah, it was just like, hello, I'm Doctor Strange.
And you want to hear something that'll really make you crazy?
Okay.
I haven't seen that movie.
Wait, you saw Multiverse of Madness and you haven't seen Doctor Strange?
Yep.
It's so readily available.
I know. I was gonna watch it before we went, but I didn't get around to it.
I
was too busy like playing D&D with my friends. And things,
good news for you. It's not a sequel to Doctor Strange, so you're just fine.
Well, that's kind of what I figured. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
There are some reasons why I haven't seen it, but we can get into that in a minute.
Okay. I'm going to give you a few more facts here because I know we're gonna cover some of these characters as well. So Doctor Strange's partner, companion, friend Wong also debuted the same time as Doctor Strange. So in that first issue there of Strange Tales, he appeared in the live-action movie Doctor Strange in 1978, played by Clyde Kusatsu, who I know from Star Trek. And in the 1990s animated series, Wong showed up, voiced by George Takei, also from Star Trek, which I can't picture that. I can't imagine George Takei being like, "Come on, Doctor Strange."
Yeah.
Like, I don't see that.
That's understandable.
In the MCU, he's played by Benedict Wong, which I think is a funny coincidence.
I think that's a funny
coincidence.
Because
you got two Benedicts.
And then Wong is Wong.
And finally, America Chavez, who plays a prominent role in Multiverse of Madness, was created by Joe Casey and Nick Dragata and first appeared in the book Vengeance, #1 in 2011, and then made her way over to Young Avengers, where she's probably most closely associated with that group. She appears in the Marvel Rising series, voiced by Sierra Ramirez. So that's it for factoids here. So then let me ask you, Allie, what was the first time you encountered Doctor Strange in the wild?
Okay, in the wild. So I was like vaguely aware of the movie that came out in 2016, and I was like, maybe I'll go watch it.
Yeah.
And then I had some friends come back from seeing it, and they were like, nah.
Okay.
It's really... And I was like, okay, less of a high priority. Maybe we'll get to it eventually, which we obviously have not yet done.
Yeah.
And so the first time I really encountered Doctor Strange was when he started showing up in the Avengers.
Oh, okay.
In the movies.
Okay.
And I was like, like this seems pretty cool. He seems like a chill guy.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have him kind of as part of the team, doing
Right.
different things, bringing in some magic.
Yes.
And so that was really my first encountering of Doctor Strange.
So it's Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, is Doctor Strange. Okay. I didn't gravitate towards Doctor Strange comics. Like, I don't think, like, I'm thinking through the comics in my long boxes, and I don't think I have any, like, straight-up Doctor Strange books. Certainly things that he shows up in. But my initial introduction to him would have been in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which the show was early 80s, and it was just sort of rerun forever. I had, like, VHS tapes on it and everything.
VHS.
This was, you still have VHS tapes.
I sure do.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was a response to the Super Friends show. It was like, how do we get some Marvel characters hanging out? And so it's Spider-Man and Iceman, who was an X-Men, and it was going to be the Human Torch from Fantastic Four, but there was a rights issue, so they made a character called Firestar, who was given the background of being an X-Men as well. But that show I loved. I mean, the episodes I had on VHS tape, I could probably do a performance for you of the shows in their entirety.
Are you
like
just
right
gonna
here,
tease us
right
with
now.
that and then not do it?
Yes, that's my plan. Okay. But so many characters, like Iron Man, Thor, probably not Captain America, but like the original X-Men, like Beast, Professor X and stuff, I can trace all of those back to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. It's just a fun show. It's a cool dynamic that they have. And Doctor Strange did an episode in that, and that's where I was like, oh, Doctor Strange, okay. And really, the next several associations I have are Spider-Man related, because the episodes he did in the Spider-Man animated series are just cool. Like, it's a really good, I always like the pairing of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, because Spider-Man is so, like, street level and young and irreverent, and Doctor Strange is so like, I am mystical and magical and serious. So
which animated show is that? Is that the one with the obnoxious theme song?
Oh, what do you?
Spider-Man.
No. That's
Spider-Man.
That's.
Because I was like
that's
trying to imagine
older.
Doctor Strange in that, and I was like,
No. Spider-Man, that one is like from the early 60s, and that is a pretty cheesy show. No, this was like...
It's got some really hilarious one-liners.
It does, yes, it does. No, this was the early 90s show that was concurrent with like the X-Men animated series and other things.
Cool.
Doctor Strange would pop up there. And then comic book-wise, I'm sure that prior to this, I had read like Doctor Strange showing up in other things. But when I was thinking back, like my associations with like really reading Doctor Strange was in a run of The Amazing Spider-Man written by J. Michael Straczynski, which that run takes Spider-Man and it kind of makes his powers a little bit more magic-based. Like, he doesn't have magic powers, but the premise of that book is that it wasn't just like a chance that Spider-Man got bitten by this radioactive spider. There's like a spider totem in this like realm of spider-related powers, and Spider-Man is like the one for this era who has those powers. So it's a really cool concept, and because of that whole magic angle, he eventually seeks out Doctor Strange, and they just go on this whole, like, magical adventure, sort of exploring Spider-Man's new, like, connection to this magic world. And again, it's just a really good pairing of the characters, and the storytelling's cool. Here's the thing that broke my heart, though. In that run, there's a little footnote where Spider-Man and Doctor Strange talk about this adventure that they had. And there's a footnote that's like, oh, that happens in this comic. I scoured the internet for this comic, and it was canceled. They never actually made it. But they put the footnote in Spider-Man to direct traffic to it, so I never got to read it.
That is disappointing.
But there is a J. Michael Straczynski Doctor Strange origin called Beginnings and Endings, which is probably my favorite Doctor Strange comic, like standalone Doctor Strange comic that I've ever read, because it plays with the origin a little bit. You know, it's still the familiar things. He's a surgeon. He breaks his hand. He seeks out ways to. I mean, that's all there, but it just adds a little bit of like depth and humanity that I think you don't always get with Doctor Strange. So you in the comics, what Doctor Strange comics have you read?
Okay. So I haven't read a ton.
Okay,
We've been
that's all
reading this. What is it? Who are the people who wrote this?
Jason Aaron. Yeah, Way of Weird.
Mm-hmm. The Way of the Weird Ones.
Yeah.
Which I have not finished yet.
Okay.
But besides that, I read this comic. It wasn't like a Doctor Strange comic.
Okay.
It was Marvel. I want to say it's 1642. It's some combination of numbers.
1609, I think. Right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I was like, shoot, I'm not going to remember these numbers.
Yeah.
Marvel 1609.
Was that Neil Gaiman?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I read that, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And it has Doctor Strange in it.
Yeah.
And in that comic, Doctor Strange is great. And I was like, this is a great time. And he's there with his wife, Clea, who's even cooler.
There you go. Yeah.
And I was like, this is fantastic. And so I think in some ways, compared to that, the awesomeness of the Doctor Strange and Clea duo, the like MCU appearance begins to fall a little short.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you'd seen the MCU stuff prior to even reading 1609.
Yes, I'd seen some of it.
Okay.
And then 1609 is kind of sandwiched between some of the MCU stuff.
So is that kind of your go-to Doctor Strange story then? Like, is that the place that you think?
I feel like, I don't know if I have a go-to Doctor Strange story. I feel like there's this mystical kind of idea in my brain of what could be.
Okay.
That I have not yet found.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for me, I mean, even though it's a Spider-Man book, I go back to the JMS Spider-Man run. But let's talk a little bit about the MCU. So you haven't seen the first movie. So my feelings on the first movie were pretty mixed. Like, I really liked Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock, which is where I first, and I think his whole thing works really well for that. I don't particularly like him as an actor, and I wasn't thrilled with his performance in that first Doctor Strange. And some of it is his very, like, his flatness and his serenity, which I think works so well for Sherlock. I don't think the transitions worked quite as well in the first movie. And a lot of my issue with that was, you know, like, he has the accident. He's this hotshot, like, cocky jerk of a surgeon. He has the accident that's really, like, a humbling experience for him. And then he has to go and, like, really work to get where he is. And I felt like in the Doctor Strange movie, his journey from, like, jerky, arrogant surgeon to, like, jerky, arrogant Sorcerer Supreme, or, you know, Sorcerer Supreme adjacent, was just too quick. Like, I just didn't think it was really there. So I was a little underwhelmed. I've also read the Jason Aaron stuff that you read, and I did like that quite as more than I expected to, I guess. But I've kind of come to the realization that I think I prefer Doctor Strange as a character who, like, pops up, who they, like, seek out, you know?
Well, and I feel like that's a lot of what I've seen him in the MCU, and he's really good in that role, being like, I'm here with the gang, I'm supporting Spider-Man,
right.
I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
Right.
And so, but then, I don't know. I don't know if he makes quite as good of a standalone character. Although I will say for this Jason Aaron run, especially the first one, I opened it and I started reading, and I was like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah, it is.
So, which, some of the art especially is just, like, really weird things, and I was like, yay! Yeah.
There is, so Marvel's app, Marvel Unlimited, has this thing called Infinity Comics that we've talked about a little bit in the past. And it converts it. I mean, the original ones are just designed to scroll, like the webtoons we were looking at. And they've been converting some of their established things into that. And they just recently converted the first run of Ms. Marvel and the Jason Aaron Way of Weird. And right after I read those things, and I was like, darn it, because I think I would have liked to have that Infinite Scroll option on there. So if you have the app, I would recommend checking it out that way. If you're local, you can come check out all this Doctor Strange here, because we have the full Jason Aaron run. We don't have beginnings and endings, but we do have one called Doctor Strange Season 1, which is a pretty decent... I don't think it's as good as the JMS one, but it's a pretty good introduction to the character if you've only seen him pop up in the MCU or something like that, and you wanted to know a little bit more. That's a decent place to go. How do you feel about, like, magical characters in general?
Like, specifically within kind of superhero context?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think I'm okay with it. Like, it's a little bit... Like, it's a little bit of a different flavor from a lot of the, like, standard superhero fare, which is usually, like, there's a scientific kind of reason for this, even though it can't be real science exactly, because otherwise this wouldn't work. But I feel like a lot of the time it sort of feels like similar stuff anyway, and so I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think, you know, now Marvel is kind of amping it up a little bit, but I think DC has had a much more robust, like, magical... Not just the characters, but like a magical realm, I think is just a little bit better utilized in that. Marvel, I think, tends to be a little bit more grounded, like when we get into the X-Men and we have things like the astral plane and things, which, you know, it's a little bit more like explainable, which has always been Marvel's thing, you know, making things a little bit more realistic. But I didn't grow up reading a lot of magical stories because it was like, that's evil, that's, you know, I had a lot of that. So I don't naturally think like, oh, let's read a magical thing. And like I said, Doctor Strange, to me, when he pops up in things, I'm always excited to see him, you know, and there's like a reveal and it's like, ooh, Doctor Strange.
Something's going down.
Yeah, I'm excited, you know, I'm excited to see it. And I think that's how I prefer it. And that's why I think I liked him so much in Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, because of that role that he played where, like, Peter is stuck in this position and, like, he needs somebody who knows magic, so he goes to Strange. I think it's cool.
I thought it was cool, too.
And I think, again...
It's kind of obnoxious in that movie, but...
Yeah. Right. We'll avoid spoilers for this portion. But I think, too, even in Multiverse of Madness, in some ways he's kind of playing a supporting role in that, too, because it's more of a venue for... America Chavez, and even Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. Let's talk a little bit about America Chavez.
Okay.
I feel like you're more well versed in this than me, so let me have it.
I read this America, The Life and Times of America Chavez.
Okay.
Comic. This is by Gabby Rivera. I can hold it up so our watchers can
see. If you're
it.
Watching on YouTube, there it is.
And on the back we've got her with Kate Bishop.
Oh yeah.
Who I also love. So
okay.
That's also a selling point.
Yeah.
And America Chavez is this character who is, like, very powerful, but she's, like, a teenage girl of Latin descent, and very, like, boisterous and things, and, like, punches holes in the universe and travels through multiverses and things. And I was like, that's a fun concept. And then I saw that they were going to have America Chavez in the new Doctor Strange movie, played by an actress who is on the first season of the Netflix Babysitters Club.
Oh, okay.
Which I'd seen, and I was like, oh, I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah.
That's kind of exciting. So it's Xochitl Gomez is the actress. And if you haven't watched the first season of the Babysitters Club,
I haven't.
It's quite good, I have to say.
Okay.
And so I was like, that's cool. So I'll, like, read up on her a little bit more. And... yeah, I just think she's kind of a fun, interesting character. She was definitely
a compelling part of that movie. I'm sure, I'm trying to think, like, what things I've read, because I was familiar with the character. Like, I knew who it was. And I feel like maybe it was Captain America that she showed up in. I don't know.
I could see that.
But I've read a thing or two where I'd seen her. But the only time that I've really, like, committed to reading a book that she's in was Young Avengers by Kieran Gillen, which was... cool. It was interesting. And I feel like, I don't know if it's their plan, but at this point, Marvel, I feel like, has got most of the Young Avengers in play. And so, like...
it feels like something's happening there.
It does, because, I mean, you have Yelena, you have Kate Bishop, you have America, you have Wiccan, you know, in WandaVision and in this. I mean, you have you've teased a lot of these characters. So it'd be cool, I think, if that was a direction that they were going.
I think so too.
You know, to have some younger characters in there, I think would be pretty cool. I really did think she was a standout of the movie, you know, and I like that they're pulling. I feel like that's a character who's sort of like the stock is rising, you know, like it seems like people are gravitating towards that character. So clever of Marvel to go for it. But I think overall, we could talk a little bit just about our feelings about the movie without saying anything in particular. I was a huge fan of WandaVision. WandaVision
Likewise.
Really, I was in a little, like post Endgame, I think in particular, I've been kind of like, okay, like I'll check out the Marvel thing. And none of the shows, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, even Hawkeye, like really clicked with me. But WandaVision, I feel like is maybe my favorite MCU thing, or at least like top 3, you know, because I think it's just such a great character piece, you know.
It's very good. It's different. It has a different feel, which I think is really fun.
They're patient enough to take the time to drop you into a situation that you don't understand, and you really don't get answers for maybe 3 episodes.
And even then, it's kind of like...
You don't really know.
You don't really know what's going on.
So I feel like the development, particularly of the Wanda character, which up until that point had been pretty underutilized and underdeveloped in the movies, to devote a whole season to this journey, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
So WandaVision, I was going into Doctor Strange 2 really as WandaVision 2 in my head. And I've got to say, I was disappointed with the direction that it took. So again, no spoilers, but that was my takeaway. There were things about the movie that I did enjoy. There were some narrative things, some good storytelling elements that I did appreciate. And sitting there, I was never bored. I was entertained. But I do feel like it's a movie where if you really want to look at it and evaluate it, there's a lot of things that I think are difficult to get around. What was your general take on it?
Pretty similar.
Okay.
I also really liked WandaVision, and I also am always here for making more superhero movies about women, or superhero shows about women, or both if possible.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited when WandaVision was coming out, partly because of that, because again, like you said, Scarlet Witch is so underutilized. Before then, you're like, she's there and she's cool and you're not doing a lot with her. And so I also kind of went into the Multiverse of Madness sort of like, I'm here for some Wanda content. I'm also really excited about America Chavez. And like, yeah, sure, Stephen Strange will be there.
Yeah.
And like, that'll be fun because I like it when he's there with other people.
Yeah.
You know, like that goes fine.
Yep.
And I just feel like, again, like I was never bored watching it. I was watching it and I was like, things are happening. It's kind of fun.
Yep.
But then I feel like when we got to the end, I was kind of like, what did we just do? Like, I'm not sure this exactly makes sense. And in some ways, it feels like it really maybe should have been either a Wanda movie or an America Chavez movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And had Stephen Strange in it, sure, but like, I feel like both of them make more sense as characters to center it around.
I agree, and I think if you were coming for Doctor Strange 2, I would think that would be disappointing because I don't think you really get... The other things are so prominent. Right, yeah. I don't think you really get that, so I don't know. I was underwhelmed by it, and I was mostly disappointed as somebody who was really like appreciative of the work they did in WandaVision. Yeah. So, and that probably colored my view. I think if you don't care about WandaVision or you didn't see WandaVision or whatever, and you go into this, you probably won't bump up on it as much as I did. But
I do think that would be a very different
That's
experience.
what I was there for. So, anyway, my takeaway from like doing a deeper dive into Doctor Strange is an appreciation for the character, but also kind of crystallizing in my mind that I really prefer him to be someone I'm excited to see pop up rather than following a straight-up Doctor Strange.
Yeah, well, and I feel like also, kind of on a similar vein, I feel like, I'm like, oh yeah, some of the magic-y stuff and things, that's really fun. And then I realized that I just want more Scarlet Witch content.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
Yep.
That's where we've landed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, we do have quite an assortment of Doctor Strange things here, both in the adult section and in the youth section. I know we have Doctor Strange novelization and a few other things over there that you can find. We also have several comics in the adult graphic novels. We have the Benedict Cumberbatch movie. We have the animated movie that came out a while ago now, 10 or 15 years ago. Lots of Doctor Strange content. Plus, Pretty robust graphic novel collections for all ages. So,
True.
If that's...
And we have Scarlet Witch content if you're feeling
that's
the same
true.
way I am.
You're right. That's right. We have that 3-volume Scarlet Witch series. WandaVision is not on DVD, so we don't have that, but I know. But there is... it's not on VHS either.
I know.
Okay. But anyway, lots of good stuff here. You can dive back into the All the Book Show archives and listen to our WandaVision episode, which features my wife Hillary, who is also the host of Previously on X-Men. And if you want to pop over to that podcast, she and Eric Mickles do a very deep dive and comprehensive look at the Scarlet Witch in one of their early spotlights. So that show's called Previously on X-Men, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. Allie, I think until we reconvene for a spoiler-filled conversation about the Multiverse of Madness, I think that's pretty much it for this episode, wouldn't you say?
I think so as well.
You can join us on the Library Book Club for Discord. You can send us a link. I mean, if you send a request wanting to be on any of our social medias or an email at wellsville@stls.org, we'll hook you up. But our upcoming Discord conversations are going to be about Doctor Strange in June, Ms. Marvel in July, and Thor in August, right? That's what we're looking at? Yeah.
I think that's what
Probably She-Hulk. We're sort of looking at like what's going on pop culture-wise. That way, whether you're a comic book fan or just a fan of the movie or show, you can join us and we can have a nice chat about some pop culture superhero extravaganza fun times. Okay. That's going to do it for this week's episode of How's Things. Allie, thanks for podcasting along with me.
Thanks for having me.
So long, everybody. I should have played the ending theme. Bum,
What is
bum,
the-
bum, bum, bum. It's just
okay.
it's just a wind down, but I'm not going to do it. So goodbye.